By way of introducing this web page, I wanted to point out a couple of things and show you that I think we have something that is simple but good. My name is Jack W. Boone. I'm a writer now, but I was a businessman for 40 years. That was my first love. When I started out after World War II, I got into the business mode, and I loved it and stayed there most of my adult life. I'm 90 years old. I'm going blind from macular degeneration. So therefore, this has to be an extemporaneous introduction because I can't read the notes very well. But I wanted to tell you that what we're trying to do here is not to change the world, but to do something that will assist our country to last another 250 years, if at all possible, because we are rapidly working ourselves into a quagmire that we may not be able to recover from if we continue the way we are. What I did was I went back and looked at about 15 areas of the government and of our life, and I thought maybe we could do something about this if we could stop this spiral toward bureaucratic idiocy that seems to be taking place now when somebody creates a medical law that is 2 reams of paper wide, over 1,000 pages, that nobody can or will read. One that puts us in dire peril as far as our medical situation is, and makes it very dangerous for the people that are now retiring to hope to have medical attention later on in life. These things can be corrected. All we have to do is to wipe away all of the slush that the bureaucrats have put into the system and try our best to clean it up, get it simple. Go back to the KISS principle. Remember that in business? Keep it simple, stupid. That was the idea. Keep it simple. Okay. First thing I did was I created a model of immigration that would have satisfied everybody involved and made it a practical answer to a problem that we allowed to generate on our own. We did it, and now we can clean it up easily, painlessly to everybody concerned, and do it right. You know, sometimes I think that our bureaucrats go out of their way to complicate things, and that's what they're doing now with immigration. They've got numerous ideas, many of which are good, but a few of which are abominable. I tried to clean it up and make it a self-sustaining operation, and I think it's doing that. That's my model number 1. Model number 2, I looked at our voting situation. It's terrible. It's awful. We have technology now. They didn't have that when they created the Constitution. They didn't know anything about it, but we do now. So why can't we apply an application to use the technology that we have to do a much better job, more efficiently than we're doing now? We can do that. And I pointed out how we could do it in my second model. My third model has to do with energy. I was affiliated with energy in several ways. My wife and I had some production oil wells. We passed them along to our children, but I was involved with an oil company in several ways. And as a result, I know a little bit about it, probably just enough to be dangerous. But the point is that energy is such an important part of the American system that it cannot be ignored and thrown around like a basketball from here to there to there, fooling around with trying to fight the delivery mechanisms like the pipelines because of some lizard, something like that. It's just gotten to the point to where it's idiotic. Now listen, we better settle down on this energy problem and get it straightened out. If we don't, we may be in for dire trouble. Everything we do requires energy. Oil, you know how important it is. Our trucks run on oil. They deliver the food, they deliver the commerce, all other commercial products, among many other things. Well, I went into a little bit of detail on that, not a lot. Okay, the fourth model is foreign aid. You know, we have been extraordinarily generous to the rest of the world. We have a State Department of 70,000 people sitting up there dishing out money and dishing out advice, which is usually worth as much as the people pay for it, and trying to straighten out the rest of the world and get them in our method of operation, which has been a colossal failure because they're not like us. They operate entirely different. So we're still pouring money and other aid into these countries, and we need it here, folks. We need that money in our trust funds for our own people for the future. So I recommended that we reduce our foreign aid for 10 years to $1 apiece. Give each country $1 and reduce it to leave the gate open. That's all $1 does. It just leaves the gate open that in the future we may reconsider or consider some additional foreign aid. But in the meantime, we need a little foreign aid ourselves. So let's drop the foreign and aid the folks at home. All right. The next thing is that I went off beat a little bit because I'm very concerned about Israel. Israel is sitting in the middle of probably the most dangerous place on the planet right now. And I'm very concerned about that. I'm not Jewish. I'm Christian, I think. At least I think that way. But my point being that Israel needs a country where they can expand and develop the technology and the brains that they have in that country that have helped the rest of the world so much over these many years, that could be turned loose and to make themselves a real country that's not bounded on all sides by a wall, that is, and have hostile people on the other side of the wall trying every way in the world to kill you. That can't be an existence that that is worthwhile. So I wrote a piece about that, and I stuck it in there as my number 5. And I hope you read it. I hope you'll understand what I'm trying to say. And I hope you won't think that I'm anti-Semitic, because I'm afraid that it has gotten down to the point where when anybody reads that anybody says or motions anything Israeli, that they are automatically anti-Semitic. That's not the case. So read it, please, and try to understand it from a dispassionate point of view. I want to talk about employment. Employment is the thing that we better be concerned about, because we need to have available jobs for people that are coming online in the future. And thus far, we're not taking it too serious. Right at this moment, we have nearly 8% unemployed people. So I decided to sit down and write my idea of what we could do. I doubt seriously if anybody will pay a lot of attention to it, and I don't blame them. But at least I want them to know that some of us are thinking about that. And as these college graduates come off of the assembly line, that they have a place to go, a place to apply that information that we have imparted into their skulls. And I think that's entirely possible. So my number 6 model is on employment. My number 7 model is on gun control. Now, oh boy, here's where you raise the barrier, because the gun lobby is absolutely not going to let you do anything that they think violates, number 1, the Constitution, number 2, their right to do anything they want to do with guns. Well, I'm a gun owner, and I know what can be done with guns. I was in a war in Africa and in Sicily, and as you'll see in my background, I have had a lot of experience in that area. So therefore, I wrote something down that would possibly help solve the problem. I don't think the problem will ever be completely solved, but this will go a long way towards stopping it. And the only thing I can tell you is to read it and see what you think. Then my next model is number 8, is on medicine. I know nothing about medicine other than what the operations that I've had. I had a 4-way bypass, a few other things. I think it was in about my 80th year or something like that, and things like that. And I know I got awfully good care, and everything was fine. I think we should have that available to everybody. I'm working on that model. I haven't finished it yet because I'm trying to get some advice from people who are actually in the field and see what they think, and see if we can't work together in incorporating it. Same thing is true with my model number 9, which is education. This aberration that we have now called education, which is controlled by a union that's not supposed to be in existence, as I understood it, is really a flaky kind of thing. We're turning out a bunch of people who are not qualified to do anything. That's not right. That's not right. The time is being badly spent, and it needs to be corrected, and I'm going to try to do that. But I'm also talking to people in the educational fields to see if there's some area of commonality that we could come together and say what should be done to get the maximum ability in the minds of these youngsters, so that as they grow, it develops, and we have the best scientific minds and education engineering minds in the world coming offline. Right now, I think we're at about number 26 in the world in those areas, and we need to be a lot higher than that. Okay, the next one, I guess, is going to be our food. You know, we're not planning too well for the future when it comes to food. We need to plan a lot better. We better, because if any series of things like energy, our transportation systems, inflation, and other things hit this food market, it could be a catastrophe. And we could have hungry people fighting over food in this country. We don't want that to happen. So we need to do something about that. That's another model. So that's, in essence, of what I'm talking about. I think I'm going to end this introduction at this point. There are other 5 more models involved. Some of them will be a little controversial, but that's okay. I don't know who they'd be controversial with, because I doubt seriously if anybody's going to pay a whole heck of a lot of attention to anything that will change the status quo. It seems to me that we may be on a track toward destruction, and it can be avoided. It can be avoided by taking the model, the overall model that we have, and simplifying it and getting it down to the point to where we don't need 70,000 people in the State Department to administer it. We don't need 70,000 people in the Justice Department to do whatever they do. I presume it has to do with enforcing the law. I haven't seen any good effects of it yet. Thus far, it's been just a matter of haggling and fighting between the Congress and the various departments. And of course, the budget is a big item that they all fight over. Who's going to get the money and how much? So all of these things together, this web page, I hope, will help bring us back down to earth and let the Congress sit down and say, now wait a minute, we don't need all that, let's do this. And then they'll agree on it and we'll do it. It's that simple. Okay? You think it's not simple, but it is. It's simple. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. That's it for the introduction. Now the web page.